gaining in the fear of losing. What is overlooked is the truth of being. What is overlooked is the peace of being, the joy of being.
Hello and welcome to Being Yourself, Self-Inquiry with Gangaji. My name is Barbara Denham-Pont and I'm very happy to be here sharing with you some of the really great recordings straight out of Gangaji's archives. The piece I chose this month to share with you takes us back to January 2002, and it was a new year then as it is now, but it was also the new year that followed the 9/11 attacks. So that gives you a little context. It was a meeting held in Marin, and Gangaji begins that meeting with what I would call the essential mistake on the spiritual path. And then she shares her own resolution for the new year and beyond. I found this piece deeply moving. Take a listen.
Welcome. It's wonderful we can come together like this. You know, the whole idea of a new year is made up. But it's a good idea. It's a very useful idea. Cycles aren't made up. Seasons aren't made up. Winter is not made up. But this January 2002 is made up. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, unless it's believed to be reality. And then that's not necessarily wrong, like you're a bad person if you believe it to be reality, but it's a mistake. And so if you believe it to be reality, the mistake then feeds into other mistakes, and pretty soon you're suffering. So if that's a mistake, then what's the correction for the error? In our coming together, we can make use of these mistakes, this new year, and what it implies about possibility of this year not being like last year. That those mistakes won't be made in this new year, but already you see we're beginning it with a mistake. And it's a familiar mistake. It's possible for at least an instant, and really an instant is all it's needed, to glimpse the truth of which there can be no mistaking. That's what we gather here today for that glimpse, and for the support of that glimpse in others as well as oneself, for the being true to that glimpse, if it has occurred or if it is occurring, for the surrender to that glimpse, and for the natural discretion, compassion, strength, courage that comes from that glimpse, rather than trying to learn strength and courage and compassion and discretion to get that glimpse. The glimpse and the surrender into that glimpse, the surrender of the mind into what is glimpsed, gives rise to everything we are seeking. Gives rise to the new year. Really new, though, like none other, beyond comparison. catch for many people in opening the mind to receive what in fact is already here. The catch is that there is a sense that you will lose some of yourself if you open 100%, if you surrender 100%. You will lose something of yourself. That's the fear, and that's the truth. You already know that somewhere, very deep, and yet because of identification and attachment, there is a struggle. I want to glimpse the truth, but I don't want to lose any part of myself that it may require. Even this notion of losing is a mistake. Certainly the notion of gaining is a mistake. But like the new year, let's use these mistakes. Just for the time being. Just for this conversation, not that they are real. And in using them in our conversation, we begin the conversation with the declaration that they aren't real, just as this new year is not real. This losing that is feared is not real. This gaining that is hoped for is also not real. So then the question arises how to discover that. The first order is to recognize what you believe is real around gaining and losing. And as an experiment, turn your full attention to what you fear most. For some it will be gaining, and for most it will be losing. So to turn your attention to what you are most negatively attached to. And lose everything. Or if you're those who are afraid of gaining, be willing to gain everything. If you're afraid of losing, don't be willing to gain. That's the trap, that's the catch. Be willing to lose, and if you are afraid of gaining, tell the truth. That you are being caught by the safety of losing again and again and again. And in this instant, just be willing to gain. That's the first order of business here today. I need a gavel. That's really the final order of business, too. Because that's what it really boils down to. In the hope of gaining, in the fear of losing, what is overlooked is the truth of being. What is overlooked is the peace of being, the joy of being. In the hope of gaining immortal life, what is overlooked is immortal life that is here. In the hope of, or in the fear of losing the body, as in death or sickness or age, what is overlooked is the radiant, innocent freshness that you are. So, as a New Year's resolution, I invite you, I invite all, to resolve that all being awaken to itself, that all being live in peace and harmony and happiness. And if you are approaching this resolution, I ask you to examine if you separate yourself as individual from all, or if you separate all from individual. If you have been trained in religious schools, you will most likely leave individual out and imagine all to be something separate from individual. And if you have been trained in materialistic schools, you will leave all and just resolve for individual, as if all is separate from individual. You follow that? Should I say that again? In religions, we are taught, most religions anyway, we are taught to, whether it's religious religions or psychological religions, we are taught that we must overcome the individual or overcome the ego. And in certain political religions, we are taught it's only the great glob that counts, not the particulars. And in the worship of the individual, in the narcissistic, materialistic, Western religion, we are taught that it's only the particular that has meaning and is important. And the rest, the glob, is here to support that. So somewhere you can find where the conditioning of your mind catches. And you can, in that instant, this instant, see if you can find the boundary between all and individual, between you and me, between you and them, between us and them, between enemy and friend. Then you make this resolution, and we make this resolution collectively, with energy behind it, with understanding behind it, with surrender behind it, so that nothing is left out, so that nobody is left out. Nobody present, nobody absent, nobody dead, nobody alive. All being may live in peace and harmony, as all being awakens to itself. So that's my welcome and my resolve for this new year. For you, for me, for all. There are people who have, especially recently in the light of the September 11th horror and the horrors that followed that, I got a message from someone in Europe who was telling me about an Advaita Vedanta teacher who was saying that you shouldn't feel anything for those people who die on either side. You shouldn't have any preference for that, since no one really dies. This is a huge mistake. This is using philosophy as a shield. And it is not not realization. It is taking a glimpse of realization and conceptualizing it as a shield. So when we play with the words and concepts and experiences of mind, we are playing very deeply. And it is possible to play even more deeply without mistaking them for reality. So while it is true, no one dies, it is also equally true that the suffering that is experienced in the world is a suffering in hoping that you will not die and that no one dies, and fearing that you will die, and fearing that someone dies. So it is possible that our time together can be deeper than any concept of what you should and should not feel, of preferences that you should and should not have. So that you can give up what you think you should be experiencing if you're enlightened, what you think your teacher meant that you should be doing or should be thinking, and simply be here as you are. Mistakes and all. Numbness, grief, anger, fear, despair, joy, bliss, ecstasy. All aspects of being, subject to awakening.
Thank you for listening to our new podcast, Being Yourself. I hope this program is serving and supporting you wherever you are. As always, I welcome your reports and topic suggestions. You can write to me, Barb, at info@gangaji.org. That's info@gangaji.org. I want to take a moment before I sign off here to thank Matt Dixon for sharing this beautiful music with us. He wrote this composition especially for us. Thank you, Matt. We really appreciate it. And finally, if you would like to learn more about Gangaji and her complete schedule of in-person and online events, or if you just want to find out more about the work of her foundation, please visit the website at gangaji.org. This is Barbara Denempont. Until next time.